Tonight on the Mike Tomlin Show, the kitchen was hot on Sunday as the Steelers pounded the Browns in their first AFC North matchup of the season. Coach Tomlin breaks down the victory with Bob Pompeani and discusses the loss of Devin Bush. Plus, it's a battle of the unbeatens in Nashville tomorrow. Coach previews the Steelers and Titans Week 7 clash. And we explain what happens when you combine football and fashion for a great cause. The Mike Tomlin Show starts right now.
Here we go. This pass is caught and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mike Tomlin Show presented by 84 Lumber. I'm Missy Matthews. The Steelers handed the Browns their 17th straight loss here in Pittsburgh last Sunday. It was the Steelers' first AFC North matchup of the season, and that win puts them at the top of the division heading into Week 7. Let's check in with Coach Tomlin, who's with Bob Pompeani, to break down the win. Bob?
All right, Missy, thanks very much. As we look back on a tremendous win for the Steelers, 38-7 over Cleveland. I'm going to take you back, Coach, to a quote you made last week. We like being in the kitchen, and the AFC North is the kitchen. It's hot in there. Well, your team was pretty hot in that kitchen on Sunday. You had to be. Was that the most complete effort for your team so far this season?
It was to this point. I'd like to think that, our better days lie ahead. I know we have significant challenges that lie ahead, and if you're a competitor, the significant challenges bring out the best in you. And I think that's why we were excited about last Sunday. We had a hot group coming in here, an AFC North group, and there was certain urgency associated with that, and we know it's going to bring the best out in us.
Well, it was a costly win as well because Devin Bush, who was someone you rely on heavily, played on every defensive snap for the entire season prior to his ACL injury. He's now out of the lineup for the rest of the season. First of all, your thoughts about him, just what he means to your defense, and Robert Spillane, is he the next man up? And if so, how much responsibility does he get?
I want to make a distinction in this discussion. On the personal level for Devin Bush, man, it's catastrophic. Man, our heart goes out to him. A talented young player, a guy that cares a lot, a guy that puts a lot not only into play but to preparation, and was really finding comfort in his role in terms of being our defensive quarterback. Professionally speaking, I'm excited about watching Robert Spillane stand up and make an adage that we live by a true one, and that's the standard is a standard. He is more than prepared. The guys have a great deal of confidence in him. I don't think anyone is going to be surprised when he plays and plays well. But at the same time, we'll be playing with a heavy heart because we realize that one man's misfortune is another man's opportunity.
He, after the game last week, said he had the green dot, which gives him a lot of responsibility. Does that continue in that role, or do you divide the responsibility?
Without question. And I can't stress that enough. We really have no hesitation in regards to Robert or his ability to meet the demands of the job, his ability to communicate. My chief concern regarding Robert is his lack of exposure to a ridiculous number of snaps, and maybe what happens to him as fatigue sets in and things of that nature. That's really the only thing that I'm going to really keep an eye on. His game as fatigue sets in or his snap count gets high, because that's just uncharted waters for he and for I.
Well, your defense put up quite an effort last week, really stopping the run game, and I know it always starts first, but the big play of that first quarter was Minkah Fitzpatrick. Is that Minkah being Minkah again, making that play?
Without question. That's Minkah being Minkah. It gets somewhat routine. We get used to watching a guy like him deliver those type plays. I know it's his first significant one of the year, but we see it often in practice-like settings, and usually that's the springboard for it to happen repeatedly in games. So we're excited, obviously, about where he is and what he's able to do, and I think that's just a snapshot of what's to come.
Well, on offense, again, a run game that was very efficient. James Conner goes over 100 yards for the third time. Is that the kind of game you want to play on a regular basis? I realize there were a lot of carries in the second half, but ideally, having control of the ball and the game in the second half lends itself to a very difficult assignment for the other team.
There's no question. Largely from a game standpoint, surely that's how we like to control it or control the flow of action. But there was some lack of fluidity, particularly in the early portions of the game, at least offensively, in terms of not being able to move it. We were 3 and out a couple of times, I think the second series and the third series of the game. And, we just can't afford to have those type of lulls in our action if we want to be competitive in all circumstances. So that's something that we're focused on, just more fluidity throughout our start in an effort to move the ball and better control the game.
We've talked a lot about Chase Claypool and his wonderful start. He had another touchdown, so that's 6 in 5 games, puts him in the record books. We've talked a lot about a lot of guys on your receiving core, but James Washington seems to be almost like the forgotten man. He gets a lot of single coverage, and I thought one of the best plays last week was the pump fake by Roethlisberger to him. What has he done in since he's been here at the beginning to where he is now?
The beginning to where he is now is an interesting discussion because this is a guy that's worked hard and really worked at developing his body and thus his game. He's much more highly conditioned than he was when he got to us. He has a professional body now. But beyond that, he's just another guy that's ready and able when called upon. And like I mentioned last week or the last several weeks, we desire to have balance and have a lot of capable men and oftentimes let those we compete against determine who the quote-unquote hot guy is. And it's exciting to have these type of conversations with you. And one week we're talking about Ebron, the next week we're talking about Claypool, and now we're talking about James Washington. We're striking the type of balance that we desire that makes us a tough team to beat and makes us a tough team to slow down in terms of identifying pieces that are capable of being significant components of the attack. And that's what we desire to be. We got a long way to go, obviously. But I like some of the foundational things that are developing.
Well, it's going to be quite a game this week. You can say the marquee game of the NFL season. It's the Steelers and the Titans, both teams 5-0. When we come back, Coach Tomlin will talk about the assignment that is the Tennessee Titans. We'll do that shortly. Right now, let's go back over to Missy Matthews.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Tomorrow's game with the Titans no doubt will be the highlight of the Week 7 schedule. And later in the show, Merril Hoge will weigh in on that matchup as well. But first, an exclusive look inside the Steelers' win over the Browns. That's coming up next. The Mike Tomlin Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mike Tomlin Show, presented by 84 Lumber. Here's some of the best sights and sounds from the Steelers' first AFC North win of the season.
AFC North football. There isn't much else needed to describe the Steelers' matchups with their divisional rivals. This season, the AFC North crown is looking like a 3-horse race.
4-0 Steelers, Baltimore and Cleveland 4-1, and Cincinnati is no pushover.
Best division in football. Our first one in the AFC North. We got to dominate, man. Y'all stay so.
The Browns are off to a hot start with their first 4-1 record in 26 years, while the Steelers are trying to go 5-0 for the first time since 1978.
Connor gets the call, and he spins off the tackler and gets 5 yards up to the 30. Throws it down the field. Back shoulder fade, pulled in by James Washington.
All-pro safety Minkah Fitzpatrick accounted for 7 takeaways for the Steelers last season. He has been relatively quiet through the first 4 games, waiting for his moment to strike.
Throws over the middle, intercepted. It is Minkah Fitzpatrick. 25, 20, 15, 10. Touchdown, Minkah. People have been asking, where's Minkah Fitzpatrick? Baker Mayfield just found out.
I predicted Minkah Fitzpatrick would have a pick in this game.
Little Minkah magic is due today. That was just Minkah having that moment, reading the eyes, and jumping that route. What a great job.
It's the best in the game.
We share lockers, like his locker right here, my locker right next to him. Y'all believe that?
The defense continued to be disruptive in the second half.
And they go to a fake gadget play, and look out, he is sacked.
Dupree and Watt.
Mayfield's day is over. Keenum's going to come in.
They're going to fake the handoff. They're going to go screen left, and look out, blowing up that screen.
Spillane.
Robert Spillane is waiting for Hooper, the tight end. Bang. He gets the call, steps into the end zone after ducking a tackle for the touchdown. For Benny Snell, his first of the season, and the Steelers are enjoying this afternoon against their Turnpike rival.
With the final knee, the clock struck 0 on the latest edition of this rivalry.
That's the final score. The Pittsburgh Steelers walk away from Heinz Field 38-7 winners over the Browns. The Steelers are 5-0. And for Ben Roethlisberger, he has never lost to the Cleveland Browns in this facility.
So that was a look at how the Steelers won their 5th game of the season. So what needs to happen to move to 6-0? Well, for the Steelers defense tomorrow, it will be trying to contain Titans running back Derrick Henry. As Merril Hoge points out in his playbook this week, it's all about winning at the point of attack.
The biggest challenge for the Steeler defense this week is containing the Titan running game. I say the running game because it's their offensive line in combination with their back Derrick Henry. The strength of Derrick Henry, big, strong, powerful, downhill runner. His weakness, he doesn't move laterally all that well. So the key is winning at the point of attack and getting penetration and swarming to the football. Let's take a look at Derrick Henry's strengths and weaknesses as a runner and what the Steeler defense must do to contain him.
Let's look at this play. The point of attack is over the left tackle, number 77. As we snap the ball, let's take a look at what Henry sees. No way does he have to redirect his feet. He can explode into the hole. The Broncos did not win at the point of attack. When this happens, this is dangerous for any defense. Let's take a look at this play. Going to the left, point of attack, number 77. As we snap the ball, Denver wins. Penetration, number 1 killer in the running game. Now forcing Derrick Henry to move laterally, which is not his strength. You take his momentum away, advantage defense when you make him run like this.
The Steelers have been outstanding at stopping the run. Whether they line up or they run blitzing. Here's a great example of what they have to do against the Titans. Point of attack is over the tight end, number 88. Barkley's going to head that way. Let's snap the ball. Bud Dupree destroys the tight end. Now his point of attack is ruined, and even a guy like Saquon Barkley, who can move laterally, has no options. You have pursuit on the backside with Watt and Tuitt. You have the corner Nelson who's supporting. Everybody getting off blocks and making a tackle. That's how you have to play against the Titans to have success. I say it all the time, the number 1 killer in the running game is penetration. The Steeler defense, especially their defensive line, they must play on the other side of the line of scrimmage a majority of this game. They must contain and swarm to the football and tackle. They've done that for the majority of the season. This is their most daunting task. If they play like they're capable of, they can neutralize a big phase of this Titan offense.
Thanks to Merril for sharing his playbook with us. Coming up right after the break, Coach Tomlin previews the 5-0 Tennessee Titans. Don't go anywhere.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber. Are you 84 Lumber material? Visit 84lumber.com/careers to learn more.
Welcome back to the Mike Tomlin Show, everyone. There are only 3 teams left in the NFL that are on a roll and undefeated. 2 of them, Pittsburgh and Tennessee, will be meeting tomorrow for a clash of the Titans. Let's head back to Bob and Coach to preview this matchup. Bob?
All right, Missy, thanks. It is a big battle this week. It's the Titans, it's the Steelers, 2 5-0 teams. This late into the season, you'll see many matchups like this over the years in the NFL. In fact, this is the 6th one since 1966. Coach, I know this is all going to start with Derrick Henry. If you look at what he does and the fact that he's had 3 200-yard rushing games with 2 touchdowns, the 4th player only to do that in the history of the game. We're talking James Brown. We're talking about Barry Sanders and LaDainian Tomlinson. He is on that level. How do you stop this guy?
You know, I think it starts first and foremost with not allowing him to get into your secondary. He is so big and so fast and so strong, and his stiff arm is so effective. When he gets in open spaces, your problems multiply. So for us, we got a desire to minimize his impact on the game, no doubt, in terms of the things that he can do, and they'll turn and hand it to him 25, 30 times a game. So he has a has a way of wearing you down over the course of the game, but that's just surface problems. The big problems are when he gets into your secondary and gets some of that open space. This guy's reeled off long run after long run, the likes of which I have never seen. He went 94 yards last weekend. He had several plus 75 in the latter part of last year. If you just look in the last, 8-10 ball games dating back to last year, his ability to break the big run and break it really big is second to none. And so we got a couple of issues as it relates to minimizing his impact on the game. We can't let him wear us down and win by attrition, and we can't let him kill us on the explosive play. And to be quite honest with you, either one is capable of happening every time they put the ball in his hands.
Well, I think that run game certainly has had an impact on Ryan Tannehill. What has been the difference with him going from Miami to where he is now with Tennessee? It looks like a totally different quarterback.
He's in a system that highlights his talents and the talents of those around him. As you mentioned, Henry is the focal point of that, and he's going to run it, and they do a good job of being committed in that way and being effective at it. So they're always on schedule. He's in manageable third downs. Very rarely is he behind the sticks. They do a nice job of mixing in play action pass and misdirection pass and utilizing his run skills schematically as well. They're just really doing a nice job of utilizing the talents of all their men. Tannehill is doing an awesome job adding to that and benefiting from that, and it makes them a tough nut to crack.
On defense, they've had some issues. If you look at their record so far, it's 5-0. However, they've given up 30 points to Jacksonville, 30 to Minnesota, 36 even last week to the Texans. I know they've had some injury problems right there, but are they vulnerable? What do you do to attack that defense to get that sort of production in your offense?
They've given up some points, but to be quite honest with you, a lot of us to this point in the seasons has given up points. I think scoring is up in the NFL. I don't think that's a reflection of their capabilities. I know that they have our attention in preparation. One of the things that really stands out to me over the course of these games is their ability to deliver the big play in those games that you mentioned, in those moments. They had a tip pass for an interception late in the game to secure Jacksonville. Simmons tipped the pass on a 2-point play that keep them in contention and give their offense a chance to close the distance and win it last week. Malcolm Butler stepped up big against Buffalo and had 2 enormous interceptions in that game. Everywhere you turn, it seems like they're guys capable of delivering the splash play in a timely manner. And really, that's probably a signature of effective defense in today's game. The ability to deliver those splash plays, those game-changing sequences, to deliver the ball to your offense on the short field, and they've done that and done that consistently. That's one of the key reasons why they're an undefeated group. Their turnover ratio is second to none.
Well, I was going to say the turnover ratio, that was my next question. When you look at it, you guys have been very good about not doing it. You had a Cleveland team in here last week that was good about taking the ball away, and you didn't allow that to happen. Is that going to be one of the big keys in this game?
Man, it is critical in this game. If you're turning the ball over and they're turning and handed it to 22, you're going to have a difficult day. And those are two things that can't happen for us, and those are the two critical challenges for each unit. Our offense has to maintain possession of the ball in an effort to minimize 22, and our defense has got to minimize 22 in an effort to minimize 22.
Well, 22 will be the number, and hopefully that'll be the yards he gets for the entire day. We'll talk more with Coach Tomlin with a final word coming up a little bit later, but it is a big game coming up on Sunday. You'll see it on KDKA TV. Right now, let's head back over to Missy Matthews.
All right, thanks, guys. Friday night was a very special night for the Steelers organization. It was the annual fashion show, and Rock Steelers Style Far and Wide was a virtual success, raising money for the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program and the Cancer Caring Center. Up next, we tell you what happens when you mix football and fashion. We'll be right back.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
Welcome back, everyone. The Steelers, of course, are known for what they do on the football field, and the goal every season is to win a championship. Well, it's no different when it comes to off the field, thanks to the leadership of the Rooney and the Tomlin families. Friday night was a big deal, so let's check in one final time with Bob and Coach to see how the team's largest fundraiser fared. Guys?
All right, Missy, thanks. Well, this week we had the Rock Steeler Style Fashion Show, which is normally in person, but this year, of course, because of COVID, had to be a virtual thing, and it was a tremendous success. The online auction continues right now, and you still can bid on it. So, Coach, I want to ask you, you've been around a long time in this game here with Pittsburgh. You have a lot of respect for history. Myself, the one item I always wanted, and I finally got in an auction, was a Tiger Woods autographed 18th flag from Augusta, where he's dominated down there. I'm curious about you. What would you want in your possession, a sports memorabilia item, more than anything else?
You're right. I do appreciate sport history. Over the years, I've become a real appreciator of all things Muhammad Ali. I have a poster from a Frazier fight that's authentic and real. That I have framed and on display in my basement. I have a autograph, a signed photo of Muhammad Ali. I just appreciate older things in sport. I'm kind of a historian in that way. I really am appreciative of my Jack Lambert jersey that I have in my basement. Things like that really capture my attention.
Well, it's all good stuff, and there's still plenty available out there. If you go to Steelers.com/bid now, you too can help so many great causes here in Pittsburgh with the concussion program and the cancer caring program. And Coach, thanks very much for your time. Wish you all the best in this big game. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that's going to do it for another Mike Tomlin Show. And we have a big day tomorrow coming up. It's the Steelers and the Titans. We get you started 11:30 in the morning with a kickoff program. Kickoff at 1, followed by post-game on Pittsburgh CW. Lots going on this weekend. We hope you have a great game day. Thanks for joining us. For Missy Matthews and Mike Tomlin, I'm Bob Pompeani. We'll see you back here next week for another edition of the Mike Tomlin Show.